Well, shalom, America. It is the night before the election, and I am excited. You can tell my enthusiasm is just like off the wall. It's hard to contain myself at the myriad of awesome choices we have tomorrow. I'm sorry. Yeah, it's the election. We have an election tomorrow. And, oh man, never have I been more unexcited. And yet, it's something weird is happening this election. A lot of weird, very weird things. And I have to remind myself that all the other elections I've participated in, where I thought the world was going to end, and it had to be this person, and if it, okay, I'm a Republican, so it had to be a Republican. First election I voted in, Clinton beat George W. Bush, H.W. Bush, and I thought the end of the world. I remember sitting in my car at Cornerstone Church crying. The world didn't end, and sadly. And then Dole Kemp, 96, yeah, again, nothing. Well, there was that Republican Revolution 94. That was helpful when we got the contract with America. Right? It's actually people doing what they're saying they're going to do. And anyway, then 2000, that was an interesting election. George W. Bush got elected, and that was interesting. All the recount, the hanging chads, and all this. And then 2004, I guess John Kerry ran against some two Skull and Bone members running against each other. So that was interesting. And then 2008, Obama, the Messiah wins, and people are crying, and And then 2012, I forget what happened. Oh, that was is that John McCain? No, John McCain was in 2008. 2012 was Romney, right? And then now we have Clinton again and Trump. Now, here's the thing. I voted for Trump. I'll just go ahead and tell you. I'm very unexcited about that. But at the same time, I'm kind of warming up to it. And I'm going to tell you why in this video. And as you saw on the title, it kind of goes back to an old Sun Tzu thing. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. And so we're going to get into that. And although I'm not really excited about Trump as far as his rhetoric, okay, unexcited about that. He says some really nasty, mean things, and I'm not even going to try to excuse it. So that's what this video is about, is trying to make lemonade out of some interesting lemons. Hello, this is Philip Fansfield, and this is philipfiles, and this video is the enemy of my enemy is my Trump suit. Yeah, Trump. Now, okay, so I have some stuff here. Have my little elephants. Republican elephants, whatever. Okay. Don't know what the libertarians are because I may be voting for them next time, but I don't know. So you got the little elephants. Trump. Oh, man. I would have voted for any of the other 16 Republican candidates before I thought I'd vote for Trump. But he's the one that's left. Actually, initially I gave money to Rand Paul, and Trump immediately ticked me off by insulting Rand Paul numerous times. And then I was like, well, when Rand Paul dropped out, I was like, well, maybe Ted Cruz. From being from Texas, I went and talked to his office down there in Washington, D.C., and actually, that's actually one of the things I want to talk about. When I went to D.C. a year ago, I bought all these little magnets and stuff. I went to D.C. Because as an American citizen, I thought the Iran deal, the Iran treason, that's actually not even air quotes, that's just Iran treason. What we did 14 months ago was absolute treasonous. It was wrong. And so I went to Washington, D.C., and I went and talked to my congressmen, congresswomen, went around Capitol Hill. And here we, as a Republican, the Republicans control the Senate and the House. And every single person we talked to said the Iran deal was a mess, was wrong, all right? But guess what they did about it? Squadoosh. Squadoosh. They did nothing about it. They did nothing about it. Now, there were some that were trying to force a vote, and that's what we were wanting. We were like, you got to force a vote. Oh, Obama's going to veto it. Well, yeah, make him veto it. But as the representatives, as the senators, force a vote. And they never even forced a vote. They actually had to do a vote to see if they'd have a vote. Messed up. And so I'm there in Washington, D.C., frustrated out of my mind, because here we have this treacherous, treasonous act. We're betraying Israel, and we're also betraying our own country. And we've seen what happened since then, where we gave money for these hostages. Well, guess what? They got a couple more hostages, and they're going to keep doing this. You get what you pay for. You're going to pay a terrorist to kidnap Americans, you're going to get more of that. I like what I love what President Reagan did first day in office. The Iranians released the hostages because they knew Reagan was going to kick their butt. They weren't afraid of Jimmy Carter, but they were afraid of Reagan. All right. So anyway, talking about Trump here. So I'm in Washington, D.C. We're talking to the senators, congressmen. We're trying to get them to act. Okay, and they're not doing it. They're cowards, the majority of them. Okay. Now there are a number of congressmen that we talked to that were forcing, that were doing everything they could from their positions to force a vote. So I hear Trump and Cruz are going to be on the White House in front of the Capitol building, and so I actually go, and on my way there I hear Trump. I didn't actually see him. I hear Trump and I hear Cruz, and I'm trying to get around, and I eventually get around and I see a number of other speakers at this rally against the Iran deal. The reason I bring that up is the only two presidential candidates that were at that against the Iran deal were Trump and Cruz. Okay, and at that point, Trump and Cruz were buddies. And I respect Trump for that. He actually came out supporting Israel and against this Iran deal. And that's the other thing I want to talk about. When I was in D.C., and this is where people kind of tune me out and think I'm crazy. But oh well. So be it, right? When I was in after being frustrated with the way the senators and the congressmen, nobody was doing anything. They all knew it was wrong, but they were doing jack squat. All right, and I was walking around Washington D.C. and it's a beautiful, beautiful capital. I was walking between. I think I was on the. It doesn't really matter, but I was walking between all these marble buildings. There's all these marble granite buildings, and really nice buildings up there. And I remember praying about this, being frustrated about it, and I felt like God told me this. The part where people kind of tuned me out. I felt like God told me. He said, and I was looking at these buildings. He said, I destroyed my own temple. I wouldn't even bat an eye if I had to destroy this place. And I was like, oh man. And here's the thing. Yeah, he did. Because of Judah's idolatry, because of the wickedness in Judah, he allowed his own temple. The temple commissioned by David, built by Solomon, the temple where he had the holy, where Jesus, or not Jesus, where God, the Shekinah glory of God dwelt between the cherubim on the Ark of the Covenant. He allowed his own temple to be destroyed. The temple he had given all, he's not even going to bat an eye if he has to destroy Washington, D.C. Now, do I want Washington, D.C. to be destroyed? No. But here's the thing. This is where I think Trump is, and I'm hoping that Trump is going to be, and there's been some prophecies on this, that other people, I don't have a strong prophetic word about this, but I do feel like, and I'm hoping that he'll be the chaos candidate. He'll shake things up. He'll go to D.C. and he'll shake things up. He's already shaking things up. He doesn't do things like everyone else does it. And yeah, that's a good idea, because the way things are being done right now is complete crap. Okay? The way Washington, D.C. is not working, it's not working. It's not working. It's not working is not working. This whole, the Obama being able to do executive order after executive order after executive order, defying, and the courts legislating. So, Trump, I think he's going to stir things up. And now, so the enemy of my Trump. Okay, here's the thing. Another thing I've noticed is all the people coming out against Donald Trump, and this is including Republicans like Colin Powell and different people in the Republican or moderate, and even I think some of the Bushes have said they're going to vote for Clinton. There's some messed up stuff going on here, and then you see the media, and the media is so against Trump. Now, at first, I thought it was a year ago. I thought it was kind of comical. The media was promoting Trump, and then he was complaining about the media. Well, now it's gotten to the point where he gave like $15-20 million to his own campaign last week. You know what the headlines were? Trump doesn't fulfill his promise to give $100 million. What? So he's given 60-70 million to his campaign, but he didn't reach the 100 million, so he didn't fulfill his promise. Meanwhile, Clinton has leaked 30,000 emails, classified emails, probably got operatives killed overseas. We know in Benghazi. I mean, is behind the whole. But they just passed that. And I remember this, and when Clinton, the male Clinton, Bill Clinton, was president, there was this idea of the race to be second. The media never wanted to be the first one out. They knew all this stuff was going on, all this shady stuff with Whitewater, with Lewinsky, and all this kind of stuff. They knew this stuff was going on. But they would not be the first to put it out there. And that's where the alternative media, radio, talk radio, and at this time, some of the early websites and so forth, and Drudge, and I think some others, really pushed it out and got the news out there. And then the media was like, the race to be second. So once the news is out there, they will then cover, because they kind of have to, or they lose all credibility. Well, I think they pretty much lost all credibility. So my hope and my prognostication is Trump wins the election. And here's why. Number one, because we're praying for mercy, and although this guy is his rhetoric is off the charts, crazy, but really when you listen to him and his rallies and stuff, he's not really that. The media takes bits and pieces from here and here, and then they create this rhetorical they create this paper tiger, all right? And so they're creating this, and of course, you live by the sword, you die by the sword. Trump his whole life has made a living in the media and all this, and now they're turning on him. But it's interesting, so one, I think we need the mercy of a guy who's going to shake up Washington, D.C., who's going to go in there and knock some things over and kick some heads and do things unconventionally. The last time we had somebody like this, and I know he did some bad things too, was Andrew Jackson. He went in there and he turned Washington upside down. And it was actually the last time we had a balanced budget, interestingly. Okay, so Trump is this chaos candidate, right? And the other thing is he's surrounded himself with good people. Okay, so going back to the enemy of my enemy, all the people that lined up against him, the media, the powerful, even the career politicians, Republicans and Democrats have all kind of, they would rather have Clinton, who they know how she's going to behave. And she understands the rules of D.C. She understands the establishment. You have Trump over here who's going to compare him to Jesus. Watch out for this. But he's going to be like Jesus in the temple, just turning stuff over. Okay? I'm not saying Trump's character is like Jesus. Don't get me wrong there. But he's going to go in there and turn things over and mess things up. And they're all afraid of that. So the second reason, I think, is one, we need mercy. And I believe God, and there's a lot of prophecies. They're not from me, but I've listened to a lot. I'm like, oh Lord, I hope this is right. I hope you're going to have mercy on us. And so we prayed tonight, prayed for mercy, and I've been praying for mercy. The second thing is people are more passionate about Trump than they are about Clinton. Okay, and although the media say Clinton's up 3-4 points, they're saying this. Of course, the polls are very manipulative. You can call certain areas and get there's ways you can manipulate statistics. We won't get into that here. But the thing is, you see a Trump rally, there's tens of thousands of people there. You see a Clinton rally, there's a couple hundred, maybe 1,000, maybe 1,000. All right. Well, who do you think is going to show up to vote? You think people are passionate about Clinton? No, they're not. Are they going to wait in a long line filled with Trump supporters to cast a ballot for somebody they know is a crook, but they're like, well, she kind of deserves it. She kind of, yeah. That's not creating passion. Whereas you have this other guy saying, make America great again. And he's given hope, and he's like, we're going to bring jobs back. And again, I would love to see him pull this off. And I think that he could. He's not going to be able to pull everything off, but I think he's going to be able to pull a lot more than we think. And here's why. Here's the thing. So the enemy of my enemy, there's so many people lined up against Trump that I don't like. I don't like the establishment. I don't like these people that are business as usual, the people that were cowards when the Iran deal went through. I don't like that. I want some people with, trying to make this more G-rated, I want some people with a backbone. Okay, that will stand up and be counted. And in D.C., there's not a lot of those people. There are a few. In Oklahoma here, we've had Tom Coburn. Now we have Senator Langford, who we met with him, and he was very supportive, and Bridenstine. In Texas, you have Ted Cruz, who, say what you will, that guy will tick some people off. And Rand Paul, again, is one of my favorites. But here's the thing. We need people to stand up. Now, what Trump has done, and this is the genius, and this is the other thing that won me over, is he's gotten advisors. He's gotten people, Ben Carson. He's gotten people, that was a big one for me, because Ben Carson was like, well, the Trump in public is kind of kind of bombastic. But when you actually talk to him, he's very cerebral and very smart. When the neurosurgeon is saying this guy's smart, I'm like, oh, okay, maybe there's something to this Trump, And so there's just two personalities, the personality in front of the cameras, make America great, huge, and all this kind of stuff. And then there's a very smart guy who, is really, and he delegates. That's the other beautiful thing. He doesn't micromanage things. He delegates. I think he will be perfectly happy putting other people in charge, competent people. And he's already told who he's going to get in many of these positions. Like Supreme Court, he's already said, I'm going to pick these guys. Or here, Mike Pence is a really good man, okay, really godly man. And so even if Trump gets in, I'm not wishing this on Trump, but even if Trump gets in, the whole establishment turns on him and impeaches him, which would be, again, ironic because you have all the scandals of the Clintons, all the scandal of the executive abuse of Obama, and yet they might unite around Trump and impeach him. That would be my not fear, but concern is that the whole Washington establishment turns on Trump and impeaches him. Well, and who ends up as president? Mike Pence. That would be fine with me. Now, I don't think they should do that, Trump, and I'm hoping they don't. I'm hoping Trump can lead and delegate and have these people that know what they're doing. Anyway, so that's all I wanted to share about. So I think Trump's going to win tomorrow. I think the polls are way off. They're being manipulated. I think there's a lot more passion for Trump than there is passion for Clinton. And when people vote on passion, they don't vote on, well, she deserves it. Who cares, okay? Oh, I'm with her. I mean, there's not a lot of passionate supporters for Clinton. There's people that, they'll vote for it. But when the lines are narrow to it, we'll see. And again, there's two historical examples of this. One, Jimmy Carter and Reagan, the polls were saying Carter was going to win. And then Reagan won huge, all right? And then another one of my favorite, ironically, is Truman and Dewey. The polls were saying Dewey's going to win, and Truman actually won. Ironic because Truman was a Democrat and Dewey was a Republican. But it was interesting, the polls and everybody was saying this, and yet this is what happened. And again, with God, with Trump, there are some encouraging things about Trump, although he's made a lot of crude and indefensible remarks. His children, have turned out really well, and that's, again, for me, that kind of reveals something about a man. How do the children turn out? And then the other thing is who he surrounded himself with. And then finally, he's really reached out to the Christian community, has humbled himself and been prayed for by people, and received prophecies. I mean, he really seems to be kind of stepping into something bigger than himself, a mantle that is bigger than he was. The man he was 10 years ago, 15 years ago, when he made a lot of these crude comments, he's stepping into something. I think he really does want what's best for America. And when you watch his audio recordings on Oprah and these other things from 10, 20, 30 years ago, this is a builder. So one of the prophecies is he could be like Cyrus the Great, a builder. And I hope they're right. I'm not going to say that's true or not, but I hope they're right. So I did vote. I did vote this past week when I was in Texas. and I'm still registered down there. I have to move all my stuff up here after the election. But man, it's going to be an interesting day tomorrow. So get out and vote tomorrow, and be part of the process. And let's see what happens tomorrow night. 24 hours from now, I could be like, oops. Well, obviously, I don't really care, if I'm wrong in a video. I'm really more concerned about the direction the country is headed. And I, as a Christian, as a very moral Christian, it does bother me that we didn't get a more godly character, godly man in there. But at the same time, I'm like, okay, Lord, you're kind of turning things over here. You're kind of doing something. I'm maybe hoping. I'm hoping. Yeah, it's about time to shake things up. And that's just what the enemy of my enemy will do. Shalom. God bless.